How much is the average transaction at a coffee shop, would you say?
$11.
And how often does your dream customer go to a coffee shop?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Okay. And so per week, what's their spend?
$55.
$55. Okay. And that's a week. That's 5 visits. All right. Look at that business model where you have a low average transaction and then you have a high customer return rate. They're coming back 5 days a week, or maybe they're coming back once a week. Maybe they'll go to Valor, spend $11. Maybe they'll go to Warm Waves, our quote unquote competing coffee shop. You look at that coffee shop model, it's less of a big deal that your precious customer goes to another coffee shop and spends $11.
What is up, Valor Coffee Potties? Potties. I can't say that. Grayson, cut that part. Welcome back to another episode of the Valor Coffee Podcast. I am your host, one of them, Riley, and me, Ethan, and Ross, my business partners and friends, sit down today and we just kind of scrolled through the Valor Coffee Community. If you don't know, the Valor Coffee Community is our platform that we have created to allow others in the industry to, join together, use resources that we have created for you, like videos, courses, spreadsheets, PDFs, documents, all these things. And today we kind of just got on and delved into the free section, which is the chats and forums. And it was awesome. It was kind of like a Q&A type of situation where we got to bounce some questions that people were asking off of each other here. There was, a lot of awesome insight and, I think things that you will find helpful. So if you want to join the Valor Coffee Community, you can use the top link in the description below and get access again to the chats and threads, which is, exists to help you with your business. And then for $7.99 a month, you get access to our resources like our spreadsheets. There's one that's a cafe viability spreadsheet, and that's probably one of our favorites. A catering estimate spreadsheet, which will help you punch in some data about events and get a quote right there. And then you also get courses. We have a Barista 101 course up that is a great resource for you or your team whenever you're getting started in learning coffee. So check that out. Also want to shout out Third Wave Water, great sponsor of the program. If you use code VALOR at checkout, you get 15% off. And also Clive Coffee. If you're in the market for a grinder, Malkonig, Anfum, Eureka grinders from Clive, 5% off when you use code VALOR5. We get a little kickback, and that's a good way to help support the program. And lastly, Localize Growth for all of your SEO needs. They have helped us kind of take our website to new heights in the Google rankings. You can get a little discount whenever you go to Localize, EYES, growth.com/Valor, 50% off website services, 20% off SEO recurring services. Yeah, here's the program. Love you guys. And
Action.
And cheers.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. Ross, the odd man out with the mug. Sorry, bro.
Yeah, you guys didn't get 3 of those cool tumblers. One for your boy, Ross.
Cool glassware.
I wrote my name on the bottom of mine.
Is so expensive.
How much was one of those?
$45.
Or was it a set?
Was it $45?
Was that a pair?
Was it a set for 60?
It was a set of 2. I think it was a set of 2 for 40.
Dude, $20 is like nothing.
Like
Yeah.
I gave you $20
Yeah,
recently
you just give me $20
for winning a bet.
and I won. I'm a winner.
Yeah.
You get the sense
We all won.
Yeah, we all won. Anyways, how you guys feeling today?
I feel pretty good. I feel pretty rested, all things considered.
Yeah, you
Stayed
stayed
up
up
kinda
late.
late.
Yeah,
But
I'm hurting.
you're hurting.
I had a collision at my ultimate frisbee game this morning. Took a couple knees to a couple parts of my legs. And I think I'm going to be okay, but I might limp around for a little bit.
I thought you were going to say you were hurting from the big news yesterday, the NFL trade deadline.
Oh
and
my
how the
gosh.
Falcons, they did nothing.
They didn't make a move.
Dude, yeah. I really, really was hoping that we would be able to snag the 24-year-old out of New York, Azeez Ojulari, but
I heard they inquired.
they were not selling. They were not. Max Crosby was not going anywhere. So outside of Zadarius Smith going to the Lions, which if I was Zadarius Smith and I could choose between the Lions and the Falcons, I'd go to the Lions. So I think we just did what we could, shot our shot, but maybe we'll pick up someone in free agency if the next year is an option,
I
a
guess.
Khalil Mack type.
Because
A Micah Parsons.
Detroit's so much better to live in than Atlanta. Is that why you say that?
Because of the the atmosphere. The grit.
Especially going into winter.
It's proximity to Flint. Shout out Flint. Eminem.
Yep.
M&M's.
Ford.
I've
Chrysler. The show Detroiters.
I've heard Detroit's kind of an on the up kind of place. You know, a renaissance, a resurgence.
I bet the Lions are a part of that, honestly. Like their success.
Honestly,
People are flocking to that success.
I wonder if it could turn into this quasi, like how Kansas City was just like, this city's about the Chiefs. Like Detroit's,
Imagine Kansas City without the Chiefs. Like that would be even
more
different.
That would be very different. No hate to Kansas City, of course. I mean, you guys have awesome stuff like the Salvation Army store we went to. We got some good stuff. Riley got a great jacket.
I wore it yesterday or 2 days ago.
You're kidding.
Just outside.
Was it chilly
outside.
at your house?
I had sweatpants on. Just like threw it on. Like cozy.
Yeah. Did you take any pictures out there?
Went and got eggs from the chickens.
Oh my gosh.
Did you feel like a farmer?
Yeah. I put the eggs in the pockets.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You really living.
That was it.
Hey, Riley, before we started this, you asked me a really awesome question. You said, Ethan, you're my best friend. You're awesome. And I was wondering what coffees you brewed up.
Yeah.
The answer is one of them is that one over there from Oppo. I don't think any of us have had coffee from Oppo before.
I've been.
Never mind.
Out of ATL.
Yeah, man. Decatur, baby. Decatur, let's go. Ross, you been?
I haven't been.
I kind of stumbled in there one time. I was
Oops.
I was going to Kimball House and I got there a little early. It's right across the street.
Oh, really? By the hot dog place?
Sure.
Okay.
The hot dog?
Yeah, dude, there's a little hot dog stand.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right there.
It's like there's one across the street where the Dairy Queen is. Not that across the street, the other across the street.
Yeah, Kimball House is at a weird intersection.
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
It's kind of freaky.
Smash like if you've been to the Kimball House.
I guess Riley procured this coffee from somebody kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of got passed down like through generations.
Yeah. So it's a vintage roast.
Someone at Michaela's work gave this to Michaela.
And she gave it to you because you're the coffee guy.
Yeah, well, she was like, "You can take this to work if you want to." And I was like, "No, we'll take it home." But then we left it in the car, and now I'm at work.
Oh, and you brought it in.
And I was like, "We have a coffee to brew." And it's this one.
What Michaela doesn't know won't hurt her.
That's right.
So thank you, Michaela. We know you're listening. Go to bed.
Is that this?
That is that. It's a lot more developed than I expected. It's a natural Colombian. What's up with that? I feel like a lot of times if I've stumbled onto a specialty coffee that's more developed, like almost there's a little bit of oil on it. Like it's typically a natural. Do you think I would just think in my brain, like, oh, if you're going to have a natural, you're going to want to keep it on the less developed side to kind of highlight the fruitiness. But do you think they're like, let's develop it to
Balance
it?
has to be.
It has to be.
Yeah,
But
I think that's what it is.
I love trying coffees that are a little bit more developed. This is good. It's enjoyable.
Oh yeah,
It's definitely not like our normal, but
it is schmoove.
schmoovy.
Yeah. What's that one?
It's going to be a surprise.
Okay.
It's one of our coffees. I just thought we should brew it up
Yeah.
and be like, what? You have to get back to me.
Dude, did you happen to brew these coffees with third wave water?
Dude, yes, I'm obsessed. So I always got to go for the TWW. Yeah. T-dubs. Yeah. And I would say it just helps coffee, especially if you're brewing at home or doing a little pour over situation, whatever you got. Third wave water, 60% greater vibrancy. They got profiles at the wazoo. What is so funny about their profiles?
This is the vibrancy.
Just the fact that you just throw out the 60% number now, it just got me that.
Whoever's listening for the first time, they're like, What?
Did you just say 60?
That comes from Riley just randomly saying, yeah, I feel like coffees are like 60% better. And then we were like, for real, like 60%, and it's just kind of stuck. So
And then we can't stop talking about the vibrancy.
That's not an official statement from Third Wave Water.
But it is an official statement from us.
From Valor Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. And we
More
kind
of a qualitative statement using quantitative numbers.
What,
Something
bro?
else that we always say during this time is, well, we always just stick to the classic light roast profile.
That
but
is true.
man, this would have been a good time to throw in.
Oh my gosh.
We
wow.
only, I think, actually, we did have an extra gallon. Crap, but they got light roast option, dark roast medium, low acid espresso machine, cold brew. They got stuff for it. I really want to play with that more, and maybe we will. Maybe that, and then when I was talking about doing like the taster testing, maybe those are just two things I'm gonna have to get to in the new year because I'm gonna be so busy gearing up for the holidays.
Yeah.
Have you guys been gearing up for the holidays, by the way?
Yeah, very quickly, to wrap up the Third Wave Water thing before we talk about the holidays.
And gearing up
And
for
the-
that.
Heck, Third Wave Water, stocking stuffer, hello.
Yeah.
And you can get that stocking stuffer for 15% off by using code VALOR at checkout. Just go to the link down below. Stock up on your Third Wave Water, and then first 5 orders every day get a free cupping spoon and a TDS water meter to check your water at home or wherever you get your
At
water.
work.
You get your water wherever you want, you know?
The store.
Now, holidays.
Right. I was asking you guys a really important question.
Super serious.
How are y'all gearing up for the holidays? What does that look like?
Yeah. No, I think this is a really good small talk
I'm so glad you asked that.
And
conversation
when
started.
do you get your Christmas tree? And do you use a real Christmas tree? If you guys celebrate Christmas,
You know that we do. I do get a real Christmas tree. And last year we got it from Home Depot just because they got so dang expensive out there.
I mean,
In the-
200 plus.
Jeez.
bruh.
Woo! That's crazy, man. But anyways, yeah, we get a real one. And we'll probably, maybe like around a little bit after Thanksgiving,
Okay.
throw it up.
Okay.
Mm.
I'm a copy and paste for that answer.
Yeah. So growing up, we always had a fake tree until I was probably, 16. And then at home we had real trees, like the camo.
Real tree. Sponsor of the
From
program. Not really.
from like 16
But which
to
was?
19, 20, which is when I moved out. Then me and Michaela had real trees for the beginning of our marriage. And then we made the switch to like a nice artificial tree.
Do you guys have like a smart tree where like you can like change the color of the leaves and the lights, or is it just
Change the color of the leaves?
it's something like Google's cooking up?
What?
Smart
no,
home.
we just have a normal tree
Okay.
that I plug into a smart outlet.
Yep.
And so whenever I turn on the lights, it just turns on the Christmas tree as well.
Oh, lovely.
Does that make sense?
It makes total sense.
Awesome.
Makes me want to cozy up by the fire with a warm cup of coffee. And speaking of coffee,
Well, I'm not done talking about how I'm gearing up for the holidays.
we're scratching the
Just-
surface.
Goodness gracious. I was going to say Thanksgiving is as late as it can get this year.
Right.
So typically I'm like, no, Michaela, we're not putting up the Christmas stuff before Thanksgiving.
Right.
This year I'm going to
Concede.
concede. Yeah.
breaking news.
Breaking news. I concede.
Conceded.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think about how, it's less than a month apart, the holidays.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a short window to gear up.
The holidays are a really
Stay geared.
crazy time of the year. You know?
And the gearing up of such.
Well, speaking of coffee, right?
We are on a coffee podcast.
Yeah.
And we thought that it would just be a nice idea to scroll through the Valor Coffee Community, the VCC.
Play it like a Q&A of sorts.
Yeah. In case you don't know, we have an app. Okay. An app. The app is called, like if you're going to search the app store or wherever you get your apps on your smartphone, the app is called Heartbeat. And Heartbeat is hosting this community for us. It's kind of like a Discord where you have forums, chats, etc., different channels geared towards different people that are going through different things. For example, I'm currently looking at the pre-open cafes channel. So people that are opening a cafe, they're in that build-out phase. Everybody chopping it up about that. So we thought we'd just scroll through the community and give you guys an idea of what's on there, but also use it as a Q&A.
Because some of us don't get on the community as much as they should. Me.
Like you.
But this could be a good time.
This could be a good time to weigh in.
To use my voice.
And I'll probably tag, in the comments of these posts, hey, we talked about this on the next episode of the podcast. Make sure you tune in.
Gear up for listening to it.
Yeah, like just in the same way you're gearing up for the holidays.
Gear up for the next podcast.
I want to start with a topic raised in the pre-open cafes channel, as I said. Hi again, everyone. Lengthy question. It's really not that long, but here we go. Lengthy question. My business plan is finished. Now what? What is the next step? I know I need to raise money beyond what I'm investing myself. Has anyone tried a Kickstarter for this? How did you find an investor? If I found a location I believe fits perfectly for my shop, do I need money in order before approaching the owner of the property? These are great questions.
Wow.
And these are absolutely questions that we had before. And we've opened 2 cafes. Those 2 experiences were very different from each other, very 2 different experiences. But let's start with that first part. My business plan is finished. Now what? What's the next step? Money, real estate, Kickstarter. Where's your head out there, boys?
If I was going to throw it in the pan, turn on the eye, kind of like render it a little bit,
Yeah.
get a little crispy Maillard reaction on it. Maybe throw in some butter,
seed oil free, pasture raised butter.
Someone just thinks they started listening to a different podcast.
It's like I'm gonna put a steak in there, steak,
Based
both
it.
sides, sear, based with butter. Take it out.
Sous vide.
No. Stop. Let me finish. Fond. Okay. Chop up a little shallot. Throw it in there. Right. Shallot. Get a little crisp on it.
Okay.
Wine.
Okay.
Deglaze the pan.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe a little bit of chicken broth.
Okay.
All right.
Like a pan sauce.
Make a little pan sauce. Okay. So,
nice.
Bro.
if I was going to do that to this question,
Okay. Then what would
Is
that
this
what would
question
that
the
be?
steak?
I would say there's a couple of simple things you can do even before you approach that, building owner of landlord
Yes.
to legitimize your business. Step 1 would be file for an LLC. Incorporate your business, if you will. And then with that, you can then get a federal employer identification number. And with that, you can open a bank account, and you can then officially, as you could say, have a business and have an EIN is essentially the social security number for your business, and you can take that and do things with it. You can open bank accounts and credit cards and eventually get loans using this number. So that would be step 1.
That's great.
Yeah.
And then as far as, and we don't have to go super long on all these. We have so many questions. We can go a little bit more rapid fire. Has anyone tried a Kickstarter for this? I mean, we could just give the brief overview of crowdfunding for us.
Yes. Yeah.
Ethan.
Thank you, Ross. Thank you, host Ross. I was going to say a couple things. One of those things is Kickstarter is probably cool, but maybe dependent on your reach. I feel like your one would not be able to maybe raise as much as one would need for one to open a coffee shop.
I mean, spell it out. Like if you're trying to, on the very conservative
Boil
side,
that down,
Render
throw it
that.
into a pan.
Let me render that. Okay.
render it down to if you're trying to raise $85K for the skinniest build out of all time, right? And
Yeah.
you want to do that on Kickstarter. Like that's a lot of money for Kickstarter.
Yeah, like we did 10 to start the. Oh, you're talking about the coffee. We did 10 to start the company, and that was kind of like a washy 10, like a lot.
10,000, yeah.
A lot of family members, you know, a lot of, and then
Because none of us had any influence. We did not have
right.
any following whatsoever.
And no offense to us, but we're just 3 dudes that were like, we want to have a coffee cart.
Give us money.
There's not a lot of like heart to that. So maybe you have a story that people want to get behind more.
Yeah.
Which yeah.
We did not have that story.
Help us.
We didn't even have
a
our
business.
current vision and mission. So
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, so with crowdfunding, I'm like, that can totally be maybe like a part of the puzzle, you know, a piece of the pie. The shallots in the pan sauce, but it's not the whole sauce.
Certainly not the steak.
No. When it comes to raising funds and finding the right space, I would say one must think about and consider like what you value most, because the more you rely on like the space to help fund or like help curate, fund and like kind of make it happen, the less control that you might have. The more funding that you can get set up with, the more you're able to kind of like do your own shopping, you know, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Like if there's like a specific space, like I'm thinking about like, you know, Elijah over at Cafe Elliot,
Right.
He made it happen by like stumbling on the space, not really having the funding, but it's like they wanted him to be there. He wanted to be there, and he like figured out the funding to make it happen.
Yep.
But if you're like, I don't have anything like that, I'm not like going for this exact space. I need to just work on funding. And I don't know if we want to get into like how we feel about investors or loans or different ways, but I would think about, you know, I don't know if it's part of your plan, but is there anything you could be doing to be building revenue now without a cafe?
Yep.
Whether it's like events or farmers markets or something, or just something.
Well, y'all jog my memory real quick.
Go ahead.
When we did our coffee shop's profitable podcast where we looked at the spreadsheet, did we include a SBA loan or something like that? Wasn't that what it was?
Yeah.
And the findings of that were like, yeah, you can do it. And that's kind of what they're saying in the comments too. Thanks, Elias. Thanks, Nathan Hanna. You know, if you want to approach SBA, depending on your credit, depending on, you know, all these things, that's also,
It can happen.
it can happen.
Yeah. Especially, you know, scenario, which I think is kind of common. Someone leaves their corporate job. They might have a house. They might have a 401k
Some
that they
collateral.
can use as collateral for this
Yeah.
loan. That's invaluable. It's something we did not have.
We did not have.
did not do that.
Anything.
Yeah. Except for camaraderie,
That's right.
friendship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is invaluable, some are saying.
True.
Last little bit on this question. What about real estate agents for spaces? You know, the first space that we had was providential, you know, it was just right there in our laps. We didn't have to look around for it. Our roastery, the space we're sitting in right now, we relied pretty heavily on a real estate agent.
Yeah. I would say we probably wouldn't have if he wouldn't have just been our friend, right?
Sure, but it ended up serving us well.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
didn't just drive by this place and think that would be a great roastery. You know, I wonder what the rent is, you know?
Yeah.
So he found this for us
Mhm.
and he drove us around to a couple of different places. And then our Dunwoody space, the developers and the real estate firm behind that approached us. So we've sort of had it 3 different ways. But would you recommend someone like this, who is their first cafe, would you recommend a real estate agent, and why?
I personally think you could go either way, especially with the retail space. You know, talking about this one, I would say just find the place you want to be if it's available, especially if there's like a newer type of development. What real estate agents might grant you is just connection that you would not otherwise have, I would say.
Case in point with where we're sitting
exactly.
right now.
Now, this is a different type of space than a retail space, which retail spaces and where you want your coffee shop to be are in evident areas that you drive by all the time anyways.
Good point.
We were kind of looking for areas that are more hidden, not because we're trying to hide. We're not trying to hide.
No.
Swing by.
No. Come on.
But in the terms of warehouse, industrial type of space, that was kind of a different story. If we wouldn't have worked with Mike, then I think we would have had a harder time negotiating the lease on our second cafe, because I feel like we gained a lot of insight of, tenant improvement allowance and rent abatement and things of that sort that we felt more confident to ask for. But we were kind of able to ask for those things on the second cafe because we had a brand at that point as well. So I don't know.
Yeah. And I mean, just for hyper clarity, a real estate agent doesn't cost you anything, So
yeah. It costs the landlord.
So not a hugey if you want some help. And getting a second opinion. If the more that you know this person or trust this person, I think it's pretty key, because it's not fun to just get sold to while you're trying to be critical and think.
When you have a question, I think a coffee question, my recommendation would be first, ask it in the community for sure. Other people's real and valuable insight in something like this is insanely helpful and incomparable to anything else. Second, ask ChatGPT. I know it sounds crazy, but I bet you if you ask ChatGPT, I have a business plan for my coffee shop, what do I do next? It'd probably give you a pretty good 10-step plan.
This one is kind of interesting. Don't look, Ethan.
I can't read from here.
I want your real-time reaction. And I truly don't know what you're going to say. The ending might shock you. So stay tuned. Okay. Coffee cart here trying to get gigs, but also wanting to collaborate with other carts or established coffee shops. What do y'all think the right approach is to team up and collaborate with other coffee shops / carts? It seems every time I mention starting my cart, it's met with a fake congrats and automatically seen as a competitor. I'm noticing the community here isn't as open as I thought it would be.
Wow.
I'm shocked.
Remember, that ending might shock you. And then Nathan, a key contributor to the community, a lead contributor even, asked, in an ideal world, what would some of those collaborations look like? And how would they benefit both communities? What a great question.
Man.
And he said, the OP, the original poster, my thought is to bring the coffee community together. It seems to be a bit divisive here. I get it. It's a city that's on the smaller side, but growing fast.
Interesting.
Okay. First of all, I would like to say that competition is definitely a real thing, especially with coffee carts. Especially when you think about it from how a customer finds your product. That's one key. How do they find your product? The second key is how often are they doing business with said coffee cart? So let me contrast that with a coffee shop. Let's say, here in Alpharetta, we've got Valor, and very close we have Warm Waves. Very close we have Nest. These are all
boarding pass
now. These are all relatively specialty coffee shops, meaning they're in a similar business that we're in. How much is the average transaction at a coffee shop, would you say?
$11.
And how often does your dream customer go to a coffee shop?
5 days a week.
5 days a week. Okay. So
That's funny. It's a lot of money.
yeah. And so per week, what's their spend?
$55.
$55. Okay. And that's a week. That's 5 visits. All right. You follow me so far, listeners, everyone? So look at that business model where you have a low average transaction and then you have a high customer return rate. They're coming back 5 days a week, or maybe they're coming back once a week. Maybe they'll go to Valor, spend $11. Maybe they'll go to Warm Waves, our quote unquote competing coffee shop, 2 days after that because we don't have as much seating, for whatever reason. Or maybe they like Warm Waves better. It's great. They go there, spend $12. Okay. So my point is, you look at that coffee shop model, it's less of a big deal that your precious customer goes to another coffee shop and spends $11 because you're just still going to be there. You're open 6-7 days a week. They're just going to come to your spot. And yes, regulars do start to form a bit of loyalty to your cafe. But at the end of the day, we're sharing guests with a lot of different coffee shops. Now let's contrast that with the business of mobile coffee carts. How do customers find mobile coffee carts? Most of the time, it's through Google, right? Coffee catering. You're talking to the front desk person at a corporate office, and their boss tells them, "Hey, can you book a coffee cart?" They go on the Google and they're like, "Coffee cart Atlanta, coffee cart Alpharetta, coffee catering," whatever the words are. Then they have a rank order list. You're automatically competing. You've got Valor, hopefully close to the top. You've got coffee cart XYZ. Boom. They look at maybe 3 websites. They make a decision. What's the average transaction for that business?
$1,000.
$1,000, $1,250, something like that. Certainly like more than $11, right? Do you see where I'm going with this? And then look at the average customer return rate for a coffee cart. Do you think they're booking your cart 5 days a week? No. Probably like once every 6 months, once a year, maybe once every year and a half. And so I just want to start by saying, like, yeah, if you're starting a cart, it is more competitive because you're fighting over higher transactions, lower customer return rates compared to a coffee shop. It's like, yeah, I'm totally fine with like collaborating with any coffee shop ever because every customer is more likely to return and the average transaction is less.
Yeah, I guess that's where my mind goes. And I hate to put a negative spin on this, but I'm like, why do you need to collaborate with these people?
That's kind of what Nathan's asking. And
yeah.
I think he's kind of saying like, I just want to, like, it seems divisive. I want to unify a little bit. Like I want to connect with other people. Yeah. And that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I just wanted to like speak into maybe why there is that air of competitiveness.
Yeah.
Now I think that like you can be competitive with someone and be homies with them and like do latte art throwdowns or like even do like, for example, like we haven't done it yet, but we have come close to doing collab blends or collab coffees with some of our direct competitors in this area in wholesale. Wholesale is more competitive than coffee shops, right? We just think that's going to bring awareness to both of our brands. We would do it with people that are like-minded and we love them. And, would that be bad for our competitive edge over them? Like, no.
Yeah.
So it's okay to collab. So in that situation, my thought is just like, who's going to be the bigger person in this situation? It's great that you're extending yourself, my friend, to these other people in the industry. And I would just encourage you, don't be discouraged in doing that. And put yourself out there and try to connect with people because you might change their perspective through doing that. Maybe they have a past of being burnt by other people in the industry. And so that's why they're skeptical of you or whatever it is. But you could be the changer there. So don't let yourself be a victim in the situation. Let yourself be an overcomer that goes out there, is the bigger person. And then after a certain point, don't throw your pearls before swine. If they just don't want to like hang with you and they don't vibe with you, or whatever it is, you don't feel safe around them, whatever it is, then just go to someone else. Who gives?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, he can have this idea, but this is also kind of a fun idea. You know how people do like coffee crawls often, or like on a day they're like, we're going to hit up some of our favorite coffee shops. How cool would it be to do like a coffee cart showcase? It's like a blending of like a coffee crawl and like a car show, but it's like a cart showcase, and you get like 10 coffee carts all in one area. And that way you're basically able to like trade ideas, like look at everybody's build, their specs, like, oh, how are you doing this? Oh my gosh, you mounted your milk pitcher there? I'm shocked.
Amazon?
You got that on Amazon? And then it's also like you get to taste, you basically get to do like 10 different coffee shops and try coffee from all over and all these different places. That's kind of a good idea. I don't know how many people would show up to that, but that's kind of a good idea.
We had that idea last year with Meadowlark and Bellwood.
Right.
It didn't happen, but
it still has legs. Darn it.
Yeah.
But
do you have a question, Riley?
I was just going to say, I see this awesome post that our good buddy Kent made in the coffee cart chat.
Uh-huh.
He's in there?
That's pretty incredible. Titled SEO Tips for Your Catering Business Location Pages. And he goes into detail how people can build out location specific pages for their coffee carts, and it's going to help them climb the ranks of Google. Pretty
That's
epic.
awesome.
And we believe in that so much that we have partnered with Kent and Localize to kind of revamp the SEO of our website, including specifically our catering operation. So we're going to see how that develops over the next few months as we attempt to climb the ranks. It's so important, especially with coffee carts, because like you were saying, the way people find that isn't by a big following on Instagram. It's not about posting there every day. It's about being number 1, 2, 3, 4 on Google. So when people type in coffee cart near me, coffee cart Alpharetta, it's right up at the top, and they click on it and they book it. So, we're going to see what happens as we attempt to kind of revamp ours. But, if you want to get in on this SEO journey, go to localize, EYES, growth.com/valor, and you can get 20% off SEO services and 50% off website services if you're getting your website going.
Our next question comes from our good friend Elias, wholesale partner, Tetherball Coffee. It's just outside of Jacksonville.
Tried to send some people their way. Had a big crowd in from Jacksonville this weekend.
Yeah?
I said, y'all are been Tetherball? They said, what's that? I said, you guys like this coffee? They're like, yeah. I was like, ho, 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 ho.
You're in for a treat if you go to Tetherball.
You're spoiled. You're spoiled.
Elias says, what are some things to look out for when you experience growth around the holidays? Reader's note, gearing up for the holidays.
Thank you.
Back to Elias. I think the main thing I'm worried about right now is milk storage. Haha. But I'd love to hear some other challenges y'all have faced. This will be the first year we'll have a steady influx of people all day at this rate. So he's literally asking, how do you gear up for the holidays?
Ethan,
what are some challenges?
You're an expert on this.
I'm sure you could you don't even have to provide a bunch of answers. Like, what are the challenges of gearing up for the holidays?
I know, man. Well, at least our coffee shop, a little fact here is there's coffee shops actually all over the country and all over the world, and they kind of can experience different things.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Our coffee shop's kind of really busy when we're gearing up for the holidays. And
what about when you're just like in the midst of the holidays?
We have to stay gearing up. It's kind of like a crescendo.
Yeah.
Until New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And then you get slow.
And then like January is like nothing. I'm kidding.
Basically close.
Yeah, basically it's close. Dude, yeah, I mean storage, that is a good point. I don't know what to tell you because I don't know your refrigerators, Elias. So I'm just gonna like hope that you figure it out. I always try to just purge anything that I have this bad habit of just assuming things are okay to stay in there. And like this old syrup jug is like, it needs to be in the fridge, but I'm like, I gotta just get rid of this. So we try to always make sure we have a good couple deep cleans in of purging the space, while we're gearing up. The first thing that comes to my mind anytime someone's like gearing up for the holidays, I'm like, it's personnel. Because people are going to be traveling to see their families. But what's cool is what I have had experienced over the years is we have kind of this network of Valor alums that come and go. And a lot of times if they are college individuals, they'll be back in town for the holidays. And they love Valor so much, thankfully, that they want to work. So I think we're going to have a pretty cool flow of like the people that moved to GA who are going to like go out of town for the holidays. And then we're going to have people that are coming back in to take their place. That's been a help for us, but personnel volume, I think just like we're always trying to ride the line of, taking care of our team amidst the holidays and being there for the people because it's so busy, So like an example of that is we want to be open on Christmas Eve because so many people want to come hang out and like bring their families and see Valor on Christmas Eve. But we like turn it into like a voluntary work day that's like double pay, So it's like, hey, you don't have to work on Christmas Eve. We're going to do limited hours, but we're going to go hard. And we're going to go hard for 6 hours. And we always have people.
And people are always so thankful that we're open.
Oh yeah. That's the thing is you got to make sure the team is set up. Like they're in and then the guests, because then you set the tone of like, this is epic. And then the guests come in. They're like, yeah, this is epic.
I saw Sophia at the Alpharetta Cafe yesterday and she was like, I love working the holidays. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, say that again, film it
on camera. But I think doing things as like in leadership to make sure that the energy is high as far as like taking team care, looking out for your squad, trying to be smart with staffing up when you need to, just because for us, it gets really busy, which is fun.
Yeah. I think about how we're gearing up for the holidays here at HQ. I'm scared.
That's another level because we're one cafe and we have one to two point of sales, but on the internet,
billions of points of sales,
billions of points of sales waiting to be activated.
Yeah,
everybody has a point of sale in their pocket.
Wow. Never thought about it that way, huh?
Oh man, yeah.
Ross wants to move on.
Grayson, I'm gonna pee.
Oh, wow.
Pee so bad. We are back. And we're back with another question. First time poster, but I've been lurking around for a little while.
Lurking?
Yes, lurking. Hey. Interesting verbiage. The TLDR here. I appreciate always TLDR. What metrics do you use to determine when to add a second team member to a shift? And do you guys want me to read the whole thing? It'd probably take like 1 minute. Let's do it. We have a very small coffee counter that serves as an amenity to a larger specialty grocery in Sullivan County, New York. This means we have solid foot traffic from the business we are connected to, but a lower sales ceiling as we are unable to incorporate a food program or much else with our extremely limited space. This is good. We have been open for a year and feel fortunate to be profitable. At this time, we have just one person working at any given moment. This summer, we extended hours a bit and had team members overlap for about a half an hour to hand off a shift from morning to afternoon. I've been trying to figure out what metrics would be helpful to determine if we should overlap more. For example, daily sales, hourly sales, ticket times. Should our afternoon staff come in early? Should morning stick around a little later? There must be a sweet spot between ensuring guests have an enjoyable experience, i.e., getting a beverage within a reasonable amount of time and being greeted by a barista working well within their capacity, and not taking a huge hit in profitability with increased labor costs. I'm well aware of Valor's decision to have at least 2 staff members on always, but that currently just isn't in our short term without the sales to justify. How do I move towards having 2 staff members most of the time sustainably without hurting the possibility of future investments cash with unsustainable labor costs?
Sounds like you're in a classic should I put the cart before the horse scenario. And we've been there and we live there. We get it. So I think you have to, there's a couple of different paths here. One, and this is what I would ask first. Are you sacrificing quality because at any point that you're open, because you're only having quality or guest experience because you only have one staff member? Were we able to glean that from this?
Well, bro, what's hard is that like the moment another person is in line, you are.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So with that, I guess I'm asking, should you put the cart before the horse, take a step of faith and say, this is going to make the guest experience so much better that the sales will be there to justify it? When I go into, again, this is hyperbolic, so just stick with me. When I go into a cafe and I see one person working, I don't have as good of an experience as if there's 2 people where I can kind of bounce around and chat and have fun. Or, get some amount of the attention of the person that's working instead of them scrambling around. So that's my instant thought is, if you're ever faced with a rush of multiple people and you're bouncing around and the guest experience slips, are those people going to come back? And if those people aren't going to come back, then you're in this feedback loop of, oh, it's not busy enough for me to add someone else. But if you added someone else, you would get people coming back. I don't know if that's the situation that is happening here. I'm just, kind of spewing, but that's my first thought.
I'm going to just say 2 really simple thoughts, and you guys can just absolutely destroy me if you want to.
Can't wait.
Whenever we as Valor are about to make a financial decision, here's how it goes. Riley's like, hey, I think we should do this thing. And then Ethan's like, or no, sorry. Ethan's like, hey, I want to do this thing. And Riley is like, okay, I'm the money guy. Let's think about this. And then Ethan is always like, well, per day, it's like $20 extra per day. Like, what even is $20 a day of cost? And there's something good to glean from that, actually, Ethan.
Wow.
He's talking about overlapping shifts more, right?
Yeah.
And I know that can be difficult if that means you have to add a whole nother person to the day, right? I know that you've dealt with that a lot, Ethan. But, how much are you paying these people? Because let's say on the high, like you're in New York, let's say you're paying them $25 an hour. Okay.
Before tip?
I'm just being hyperbolic here.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Remember
this is all hyperbole.
Remember how we were doing that? Let's, and then you get them to work 3 or 4 extra hours for peak times. $100 of cost, like that is a good bit because $25 is a high hourly rate. But even with that example, maybe it's not as a big of a deal as you think is kind of where I'm going.
Well, yeah, and, we don't have the same operation, blah, 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 but you really can raise your production ceiling considerably when you add people. And so even if it is $100, for those 4 hours, I've always found that an extra person can bring in over $100 per hour. Easy.
That's right.
Is one of the people, and I can't remember, is one of the people the OP poster
Working?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I would assume so.
So then you have the situation where, like, if you are scheduling your cell phone bar and it is just slow, there's plenty you can do. Right there. Yeah.
Yeah. And here's my second very simple caveman level thought. No offense to cave.
Just rudimentary.
What if you figured out how much money you're paying out in labor per day and you multiplied that times 3? And if you're hitting that level of revenue per day, then you're like good. To break that down more, if your labor percentage is somewhere in the like 27 to 35, 35 is pretty high for a labor percentage. But I mean, if you're adding a second person to make it better and you hang out at 35 for a little while, like, you're doing it to decrease ticket times and increase experience. And so if you can just figure out, what am I paying out in labor per day, multiply that times 3, am I hitting that revenue in a day, then I'm in a good ballpark. That's just like, I think, business owner looking at the sales. You pull up your POS at the end of the day, you look at the sales, like, divide that by 3. Did we pay that much out in labor per day? That's like, journeyman, like, owner math for me. Here's the third thing. Let's pretend you're driving down the road.
Whoa.
Okay. Are you there?
All right, Grayson. Yeah.
Grayson, we need a car.
Yep.
He's going to start charging us more for this BS. You're driving down the road and you're on the way to an appointment. Okay. You're on the way to a meeting.
Doctor's office.
No, meeting.
Okay.
Meeting.
All right.
You're on the way to a job interview. So you really can't be late.
Gosh.
Okay.
But you're driving the speed limit.
You have 15 minutes of wiggle room and you're thinking to yourself, should I pull off and go to Valor and get a quick cuppa on my way? It would really fuel me for this interview, but I really can't be late. If you pull into that parking space and you get out, you are trusting.
What parking space?
A close one.
Well, you are the loading area. It's not even a parking space.
You're trusting Valor to get you in and out of there in enough time to get to your interview. And when people come to your space, they are trusting you, or they're not trusting you and not coming because last time they were there, it took too long. And I would ask, like, are you in a relatively high commuter area or relatively high businessy area? I mean, it's not just business people that need to get to things, but a successful commuter coffee shop has a drive-through for a reason. You're trying to get in and out in a good amount of time. So my whole point is, if you have 2 people, you're going to be able to build trust with those people a lot better. Even if you are offering a good experience on paper with one person, there's a whole bunch of people that you could be capturing, building trust with. And then all of a sudden you are their spot when they know they've only got 15 minutes to come through and get a cuppa. That's worth it, man. That's why we do the 2 people thing. Now, there is a certain point where, like, literally just the money doesn't work out. Like, if you're bringing in $350 gross revenue per day, like, you probably shouldn't have 2 people,
I think a lot of times when you are getting to the point where you're like, oh, I think we might need to make a decision about this. I feel like we've always erred on, like, let's push instead of reserve, because we want to find the ceilings of our capabilities.
And it's only bit us in the butt a few times.
And that's what we didn't really get to. But at the end of the day, it is hard, but it is a 2-way decision.
Yeah.
Whether that's you have to, like, take yourself off of bar more and, like, have this kind of transition, wait for someone to leave, or you hire somebody and you're like, hey, we're trying something new. We're trying to like grow.
It'd be like, it's a seasonal thing.
Yeah, we're going to give it 3 months and we'll check back in.
Yeah.
And if it's like, okay, at the end of 3 months, hey, maybe if you want to go down to like 3 days, we could use you on these 3 busy days and we can grow into it. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
It's true.
Just being honest and transparent about your like growth with your team is huge.
Yeah. Man, this is awesome.
Yeah, this was like awesome.
Yeah. How about that?
What a vibrant and intellectually stimulating place the VCC is.
Yeah. We never said what that was.
Dude, do you guys want to be embarrassed on air and guess, or do you want to just want me to tell you?
Is it a fresh roast?
No. Well, I mean,
Doesn't taste like a fresh roast.
it's like a week off.
Is it like Miracle?
Is it
Close.
Akinyaru?
It does taste more like Akinyaru.
Turbo diesel.
But it's not Turbo Diesel and it's not Miracle, but it's close.
Jethro's?
Close.
Okay, free throw?
Huh.
Yes. Isn't it taste so weird?
Wow. What a good like ad read for our
Well, we just never do
main coffee.
I would never do free throw on like pour over. We always I think
this is a great cuppa.
that's what I'm saying. It tastes a lot more. I don't know if like the development lot, like that Columbia X Factor is just speaking really
It's not
loudly.
the development line. It's Costa Rica Tira.
This one is the dev lot.
Thank God. I almost looked like an idiot, but you did. Whew.
Yeah, interesting.
But I mean, it's delicious. It's just, I'm so used to espresso. Me espresso, that is. Hey, I love you guys.
Yeah, I love you guys too.
Love you guys. Happy November.
Happy November.
Are you guys going to do mustache, no shave November?
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.